All right, let's talk about gold, the $22 trillion beast that's setting up Bitcoin for a huge breakout. BTC's looking good, but alts, they're about to explode. Meanwhile, ETH is heading towards $3,600, but I'm telling you, 7K is on the table if this rally keeps going. MicroStrategy has 3% of the entire Bitcoin supply, and they're sitting on a $28 billion profit. And yes, they're still buying. They haven't sold a single coin since 2020. And here's the wild part. We've got crypto bills in the US, and while they're fighting over stablecoin laws, BONK just flipped Polygon in market cap. Yep, you heard that right. So subscribe because today's episode is about to get unhinged. Let's dive into it. We're going to talk about BTC versus gold because gold is the biggest asset class in the world at $22.4 trillion. Now, this is a chart that's very important. This is BTC USD divided by gold. Now, we had a little bit of fun recently, end of the year, beginning of the year, as you can see. And now we're starting to climb. We need to get above this line. You can see in the previous cycle, we had this euphoria. We had two euphoric periods in the previous cycle. And if we can zoom out, you can see we've had these peaks throughout each cycle. Now, this chart is almost magical. This is gold divided by BTC in USD value. So it's actually the reverse of the previous chart, but it can give us an indication on when the cycle is going to top. And it's not this year if we go off this. So this is the very, very first cycle, and we'll speed run this. This is in log price in terms of BTC. The white line is the Bitcoin price, and then this is gold divided by BTC. As a quick summary, as this breaks down, BTC price goes higher. But the very first cycle, we've got 2011 to 2013, and you can see we had Bitcoin around $18, and it came on down, and then it came on up. But this is a resistance level or a support level. And if it doesn't break down from here, then we don't get this euphoria. But once it starts to break down, you can see that Bitcoin went from around $38 and it climbed to like almost $1,000, something along those lines. And then this shows us how many bars. So this was 37 bars. So 259 days, 37 weeks, right? This is a weekly chart. And then we'll go on to the next cycle. So then we had our resistance level, our support level, depending on how you're looking at the chart. And of course, it was a bear market vibes. And then it started to get euphoric zone in 2017. At this stage, Bitcoin is at $1,222, right? It had gone down significantly down to like 200 after peaking around 1,000. And then we had this other time when it started to gain a huge amount of value versus gold. And this went for 300 days, 43 weeks. And this went like from 1,100 or so all the way. We can see the peak here shows us around 19,000, but it went to around 20,000 on some exchanges. Then we had the last cycle. Now this is, let's just zoom in a little bit more here. This was obviously crazy because it had kind of two tops in it. But once again, we had this resistance. It broke down and we started around $30,000 and we went all the way up to basically $69,000 and it dropped. And this went for a sizable amount of time, 322 days. Now, this actually hasn't started to break down yet. So if we come here, we can see we're actually at this period when I guess I should zoom out a little bit to make it a little bit clearer. Sorry about that. We can see we've got this support or resistance line, depending on how you're looking at it. And we need to break through this. We broke through it very briefly at the end of the year. That's why we had this euphoric zone with Trump coming into being elected and whatnot. He was going to come into office in January. And then we had a significant market correction. And now we're starting to touch this level again. You can see it right here. So we start to break down and gold gets less valuable compared to BTC. And then it's off to the races. And if we kind of take averages of previous cycles, we're looking at maybe April to June in terms of the cycle top. So that right there is something we're paying close attention to. Meanwhile, Bitcoin itself, it's having a little bit of a retest of its multi-year structure. And this is a good thing because we can't just go up all in one clip. We do need to retest these things. It's more healthy for the market. Meanwhile, BTC dominance is coming down. Ben Cohen thought it was going to go potentially up to 70%, and we started to see a drop. I'm expecting a drop further. This is Q3 now. People were talking about it being not good for alts, but I believe it is good for alts, definitely good for alts. Now let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum has broken past its 0.5 level fib, which we were speaking about for a few weeks, and it's come past 0.618. So our next zone is right here around 3,500, 3,600. And then hopefully it breaks this and continues to go further. But I'm probably going to take some profits around here just before we hit it. As for USDT dominance, we're consolidating at this period. So we're not guaranteed to come and break down straight away. A bit of consolidation, and we'll see what happens next. Now, the reason why we talk about altcoins and altcoins being delete. Now, the reason why we've said altcoins are pushing the market up is because of this. The crypto total market cap, excluding BTC, ETH, and stablecoins, this is at this 0.5 level. So we're holding this, we're consolidating, but we're moving up higher. So we could potentially be wanting to take some profits around here. We have to wait and see how it is. But at present, this is an altcoin movement suggesting altcoin season is in the works. However, we can't be too euphoric because although we've had an uptick in terms of interest just recently in July, you can still see it hasn't had the peaks that November did and nowhere near the previous cycle. Even in the bear market, there was a little bit of interest here. We're still nowhere near those levels of euphoria. Daily exchange volume is picking up. This is now a higher low, so this is a step in the right direction as well. We are higher than all of June, and now we're probably coming pretty close to beating our May high as well. And fear and greed is at 70, and this is really important because we're in this point where we're not ultra greedy. We're kind of up and down, and this means the market can go higher. If it comes too high, that's when we get these little resets that push us down. And right now we're here. This is safe in my opinion. And Michael Saylor's strategy keeps on buying Bitcoin. They're now $28 billion in terms of unrealized profit. And I don't think they're going to be selling anything. They're going to keep on buying. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, one fundamental reason why things are pushing higher is because of Donald Trump. We can see this here. He's trying to push through the Genius Act, which is trying to make the US basically undisputed in terms of crypto. However, it hit a snag. So they're going to be trying to push that through today. We've got 3 different acts that they're working on: the Crypto Genius Act, the Clarity Act, and the Anti-CBDC Act. We saw on Truth Social that we're 11 Republicans in the Oval Office that have now kind of been brought up to speed on why they should be voting for yes. So this will probably pass in the coming days. Meanwhile, Pump.Fun has been preparing Sol to buy back Pump. So far, they've spent almost $20 million worth of Sol to buy back Pump. I personally think Pump will be going much higher. Of course, there's a lot of people already in decent profit at over 50% of the ICO price, which is very, very decent. And we'll end with some epic news here. BONK has flipped Polygon in market cap. Polygon is not doing well this cycle, but the dog is. That's all for today. Let me know your comments below. Catch you in the next one.